Nestled high up between the Kunlun Mountains to the north and the Himalayas to the south lies the arid plateau of Tibet. At almost 2 million square kilometers, the plateau is nearly 3 times the size of Texas and makes up almost 20% of China's total area. It is home to the Tibetan Autonomous Region in the west and Qinghai Province in the east. Of some 7 million people living here, few reside in cities such as Lhasa, or Xining, the capital of Qinghai. With department stores, supermarkets, malls, and traffic jams, Xining is not unlike most Western cities. But head out 20 miles in any direction from the capital, and you'll find a way of life that has more in common with the past than the present. Here the majority of people lead a semi-nomadic life, grazing their herds across verdant steppes to the salt marshes of Qinghai Lake. There they exchange goods for salt before making the long journey back home. Not far from its headwaters, the Yellow River wends its way through a small town called Tongren. Here the medical needs of 3 rural counties are served primarily by a single hospital, the Jiangsu County Hospital. Financially and geographically, it is the only practical option for thousands of impoverished people in this economically depressed region. Every year its staff of 28 doctors and nurses treat hundreds of patients. We didn't have a hospital for decades due mainly to our remote location and a lack of government money. And even though there were a number of trained Tibetan doctors like myself, we had no facilities to work in. So in 1987, I decided to do something myself. With $4,000 I'd raised, I converted an old monastery into this hospital. When I began, I had few resources and only one other doctor with me. But we did everything we could to care for our community. After 3 years, the government recognized our efforts and agreed to help support us. Today they provide about $44,000 a year, and our staff has grown from 2 to 28. But as much as we have accomplished, we still have a long way to go. I earned my degree from Lhasa Medical College in 1986. Even though Lhasa's hospitals are better equipped, I decided to come back home and work in Jiangsu. The farmers and nomads here are quite poor and have many health problems, so it was important to me to bring my training back to serve them. The most common diseases we see are caused by 2 basic problems: malnutrition and poor sanitation. The result is frequent liver and kidney ailments as well as contagious diseases like tuberculosis. Poor health begins with malnutrition. Nomads are at particular risk as their diet is limited to the meat and dairy products that their herds produce. They have no steady source of fruits or vegetables, and so many suffer from heart disease. Unlike cities, which enjoy a diverse variety of food shipped in from all over China, the countryside has no such luxury. Though farmers have a slightly more varied diet than herders do, they too suffer from poor nutrition, as they are limited to the few crops that grow in this difficult climate. The nomads' ubiquitous salt caravans are symptomatic of the poor quality of the land. So iodine-poor is the soil, goiter is endemic across the plateau, and nearly everyone suffers from vitamin and mineral deficiencies of one kind or another. Malnourished people are also more vulnerable to the infectious diseases wrought by poor sanitation. Few have clean running water to drink or bathe in, and flushing toilets are virtually non-existent in the countryside. The close living proximity of people to their livestock also enables the spread of diseases such as brucella and the plague. Food poisoning is rampant as people have no means of refrigeration. They often end up eating spoiled or rotten food, especially in the summer. Unfortunately, children under 5 are the most vulnerable because they are already weakened from malnutrition. Furthermore, because most villages and nomad camps are isolated, the sick often can't get timely medical attention. As a result, minor ailments frequently develop into lifelong health problems. The hospital patients are primarily treated using herbal remedies, some of which date back 2,000 years. The doctors must produce most of their own medicine, as Tibet's pharmaceutical industry is not yet capable of meeting demand. It is the hospital's single largest expense. Tibetan medicines are a complex mixture of mostly native herbs. Nanju, a food poisoning remedy for instance, is made up of over 70 ingredients including herbs, fruits, minerals, and even seaweed. Because these remedies are all organic, we believe they generally have fewer side effects than synthetic drugs. Whatever ingredients we can't buy, we must obtain ourselves. So every August, an expert doctor leads a team around Tibet to gather the raw ingredients we need. He teaches the others how to identify different plants and what each is used for. We usually have to go to altitudes above 12,000 feet to find the right herbs. Because of increasing pollution, it's hard to find a number of these plants any lower. The hospital's pharmacy then processes the ingredients into the various remedies we use. We realize that Tibetan medicines don't always work as quickly as Western drugs, but we believe that they are generally as effective. But unlike Western drugs, they're comparatively cheap and are affordable to all our patients. But there is one patient for whom the doctors have no cure. An ailing terminal patient who demands chronic cure, yet shows no hope of recovery. The hospital itself. Providing cure for the poor is no more lucrative a business in Tibet than it is in the US. What little financial resources the doctors have can either be spent on people or buildings. Invariably, the buildings lose. But so too do the patients and doctors who must endure the most destitute of facilities. Crumbling walls, unheated rooms with stone floors, and broken windows with newspaper curtains. This building was constructed over 50 years ago with cheap materials and shoddy workmanship. The foundation is crumbling and the roof is rotting away because we haven't had the money to make adequate repairs. Many patients are reluctant to stay here because it's so cold and dirty and nothing works. It's bleak. It's not conducive to recovery at all. If we had a new, larger building, we could treat more patients more effectively. We could attract more doctors to work at the hospital as well. That in turn would free others to run mobile clinics for the nomads in more isolated communities. Then, even if they can't come to the hospital can still come to them. We get about $44,000 a year to pay for the production of medicine and our salaries, but we have nothing left to repair the building itself. There's just too much damage. We really badly need a new building. We really need help. Thank you. For 15 years, the Jiangza Hospital's doctors have cared for their patients by making the most of their meager means. However, they need help. Any help they can get to make repairs and hopefully someday build a new facility. No matter what, these doctors will continue to do the utmost for their community, but perhaps with your help, they can do even more.